Hi, and welcome to Pursuit of Tomorrow. Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Now, in the spirit of that, I've decided to invite anyone and everyone onto this platform here to help discuss the idea and how we can actively pursue tomorrow as opposed to just kind of passively receiving it. Now, before we get started, I just want to say any support to the channel would mean so much to me. So like, comment and subscribe, and without any more to say, let's get right into the episode. So welcome back to Pursuit of Tomorrow, and welcome Rhys to Pursuit of Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming through and deciding to be part of this today.
Yeah, honestly, it's a real honour and a pleasure. I'm really enjoying the show so far. I've been watching all the episodes and it feels good to be in the set.
I appreciate that, man. No, it's really cool to hear because, we're trying to do something here, we're trying to obviously create something that people can go back and watch episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. I'm glad it's having the impact that I want it to have.
Yeah. No, I thought I'd sit in the middle. I'm always watching. Someone sits this side, I'll sit that side. I was like, today I'll sit.
Own it.
Yeah. I'll sit.
So you've been following along, so you know how it goes. Before we go into the Pursuit of Tomorrow, I'd like to take a quick introspective look into yesterday. So I asked you to bring a couple of artifacts that have, some personal meaning to you. So what did you bring along?
Cool. What do I start with? Well, the first thing I bought my Bible.
Okay.
This isn't my normal one. I actually lost my everyday one. I need to find it. But so I started reading this when I was like 13. So I didn't grow up around it. None of my family are religious at all. But one day I picked up not this one, but I had an old one. I was actually looking for it so I could bring the original one I had, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, I started reading it. I didn't understand the word, but along the way people came along and helped me understand things, and so it's shaped my life to where I am now, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for what's in here. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And where are you now? Tell me.
Man, I'm good. Do you know what? I'm constantly being challenged to improve.
Right.
And this is my standard. My character, the way I want people to see me, how I want to treat people, the knowledge I want to attain. This is like the standard. And obviously, towards the end, we see the character of Jesus. And no matter what you think about him or the Bible, you can't disagree that he was pretty perfect guy. So that's my standard. Obviously, I'm never going to reach perfection, but if every day I'm trying to attain it, I'm at least going to do some good.
Okay, I like that. It's one of those things where what's the phrase? If you don't land on the stars, then at least you'll land on the moon.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I believe one day I will get pretty close. Whether it's a long way away, but so it's just every day is a new day, as they say. You know what I mean? So each day is an opportunity to actually try a little bit harder. And if you mess up one day, we'll try again.
Yeah, I like that. There's been, I think, 2 themes that have been reoccurring since I started interviewing people. I've noticed it, and there's the idea that not every day has to be perfect for progress to be made within it, and that you also have to allow yourself to fail throughout the course of the day, and it's okay to fail. Or as my boy put it, it's okay to bomb. As in to go so far left that it's just like, you might not feel like you're making progress in the grand scheme of things, but it's like when you're putting that effort in to be a better person and to see that growth within yourself and your community, it brings about a certain sense of fulfillment. I know this for me.
For sure.
So, unless you've got another artifact, I know I was asking about any songs, books, films that also have personal meaning to you.
Yeah. No, my second artifact actually is my trainers.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see. There you go.
We can see the show. Crap chat.
Yeah. No. Do you know what? Trainers is a big thing for me. It never used to be, but so I think another reoccurring thing is I didn't necessarily have the best relationship with my dad growing up.
Right.
But one thing that he always that I didn't see him much, maybe once or twice a year, if that. But he'd always give me his trainers, ones that he'd buy, maybe wear them once or twice, and he'd be like, here, have these, you know. And it was his way of showing that he cared about me and that he was thinking about me.
Right.
And I was never like, my mum, like growing up, I always wanted the light up shoes, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
but my mum gave me like Nikes, you know, so I was like, I don't want it, but you know, so I grew up around it. But now I started to reach an age where I started to appreciate it, and it became a way that, you know, I started to wear the trainers that I wanted to wear because it became a way that I can express myself.
Right,
You know?
of course.
And so, you know, there's been times when I've got a little bit too into it, spent a little bit too much money on it. But yeah, it's a big thing for me. It's a way of I can express myself and so.
You don't have to worry about the money now. I mean,
it comes and goes.
Expression of personality and creativity, all of that's priceless. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So yeah,
cool.
That's done.
Nice. Cool. So, song, film, book.
Yeah. So growing up, surprisingly, I didn't really like music that much.
Okay.
Yeah. So my uncle's a DJ. My mum would play music every Saturday when she was cleaning around the house. It was, you know, I was always around music all the time. And so I kind of was like, I don't care for it. Then I got to a certain age and I started really finding my own taste in music, the things that I enjoyed. And so it's really hard for me to like pick specific songs. But artists that have influenced my life genuinely, people like Tupac, some kind of like Bob Marley, that was a big thing for me, especially when I started to learn more about my heritage, where I came from, things like that. So yeah, musically, I constantly change. I have quite a big palette for music. I like anything from jazz to hip hop, reggae, even some heavy metal. Occasionally. I will dip my toes in it. I'm not versed in it, but I will dabble. But yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So obviously, you know, music plays a much larger part in your life nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I used to create a lot. Nowadays, it's more for myself. And so I've been busy with a lot of other things, but it's become one of those things that I know it's for me.
Right.
You know, I enjoy it. And I used to get really concerned about how does it sound for other people.
Right.
But my discovery recently is do I like this? Am I having fun making it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's music. But in terms of like TV or like films, things like that, it's not a film, but a series that is big on my life is Naruto.
Alright,
I don't know if you've watched it.
Well, I don't know about Naruto.
Okay, cool. So I grew up watching cartoons, like, you know, but recently I think I watched Naruto for the first time last year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so it was one of those things that I always knew about, but I never really got into.
Yeah.
And then I watched it. I watched the whole thing in like shorter than I should have watched it. And honestly, it changed a lot about my life.
Okay.
Like the character of him, you know, I could sympathize with him a lot. I could relate to him a lot. Right. You know, there's nothing about him naturally that is that amazing. Everyone, you know, he's kind of an average guy. You know, that doesn't know his parents, and is just going through life, but he's determined to be the best. Yeah. And so I really related to that, and just seeing that struggle of his character as he grows and develops. That story, man, it's been big to me. It's a story that I'll make my kids watch. 100%. Like that from when they get to a certain age, because I wish I watched it as a kid. Yeah. Like seeing him face real deep struggles, and it's not like, you know, Western cartoons where you know, like the deepest thing of the plot is, I don't know.
Yeah, it's always something minor.
Yeah, but it's like real deep thing, life and death.
Yeah.
And so as a kid to watch that, they present it in a way that's like, man, there's something to this, and so that's probably one of the things I'd say, real influential.
Yeah, the only Western cartoon that's able to kind of strike that chord is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I was gonna say, you know, I was literally on my way. When I was on the way here, I was like, I'll either talk about Naruto or Avatar: The Last Airbender, because again, Avatar: The Last Airbender, So another influential one in my life,
Yeah.
like as a kid, I've watched it from beginning to end probably like 4 times in my life.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that I'm always able to come back to because actually leads us quite nicely into the next question I want to ask you about being in the right place at the right time. The whole story of the Avatar is about being the right place at the right time. You know, there's obviously the cycle there. Yeah. And for Aang's Avatar, the one that we see in the show, he's completely out of his own time, out of his own element, and so he's having to deal with that and having to trying to catch up. Yeah. So I'm going to use that as a running segue into this next question. You know, have you ever found yourself in a right place, right time kind of scenario where you haven't deliberately put yourself there? It's just kind of brought itself out into fruition.
For sure. I'd say I'm not a very lucky person. You know, like I'm not one of those. In this context, a lot of people, if you enter the lottery as a joke or like raffles, playing like, you know, you go to the arcade and you've got these different kinds of games, claw machine, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I know so many of my friends, Josie, who's on the show, always wins. Always lucky guy. He might not say it, but there's just, you know, chance. Like, you know, it's a 1 in 10 that you're gonna get this. Josie always gets it. Yeah. You know what I mean? He might, you know. But for me, I've never been like a lucky person.
Right.
You know, I'll enter things or I'll go for things. But what I have found is that in my life, when it comes to my career, how I started reading the Bible and how that changed my life, it felt very coincidental. Like I just fell into it.
Right.
So for example, I started reading this book and one day a guy that I'd met, who was in the year above me in school, he saw me reading it and he was like, "Hey, you want to come to my church?" And I was like, I don't want to go to church, you know. That's because my perspective of what it was before. Right, but I went, and it changed my life. You know, I met people that put me on the right path, that things I was doing then that I shouldn't have been doing. You know, and it just felt like I was just in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing at the right time, if that makes sense. Yeah. The job I'm doing now, I'd literally I work with a friend of mine, right, and so I just was made redundant just before COVID, completely unrelated to COVID, right. And so I was like, flip, what am I going to do? I went a whole month without any income, which, you know, I had a lot of outgoings at the time, so it was a bit tough. And I just met this guy, and he actually needed someone to help him with his business, and so he was like, do you want to come help me with the business? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And just actually being there led to so many other things to actually me now opening my own business, which wouldn't have never happened if I hadn't already lost that job, which felt like a great misfortune, but it worked out for my good. And I've got so many little examples like that. But
that's good. I like that, specifically that example, because I think one thing as we're experiencing time is that it's very hard not being able to see tomorrow. And as hard as we try, and as much as we might even create a platform to look into the pursuit of tomorrow, it's so hard to actually visualize yourself outside of it. And so when you're in a infused mood, it's great. You know, you look forward to what the next day might bring, or the next day. But then when you have a hard day, it's so easy to lose sight of all of that.
100%.
And you wonder how many hard days you're gonna have to go through. Especially when they're just consecutive days. So I'm really glad that you were able to have something that was pretty much, in the grand scheme of things, back to back, misfortune to fortune. Because obviously it shows that when you still find a way to look forward to tomorrow and you actively pursue it, that things can happen, and they do happen. Not everything has to be a miracle. It's just if you put yourself, or if you find yourself in the right place at the right time, something good can happen.
Exactly.
So, you find yourself in that space, and then you say that you've managed to move past that space now. You find yourself in a brand new venture. So in all of that, what inspires you to be better, to continue to work harder, to continue to climb that ladder?
I've always wanted to be better.
Mm.
So a lot of in school, I was a very average student. I was good at basically every lesson, but I was never the top.
Right.
I was all right at maths. I was all right at English. I was all right in PE. In science, I was all right. And so that was quite challenging for me because everyone had one area where they were like excelling in.
Yeah.
And so I've always had this standard of myself that I need to be the best because I feel inadequate.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's caused me to be a little bit hard on myself. But what it has done, in one sense, is I've been able to be hard on myself in a healthy way.
Right.
That actually I know that and over time I actually found my area of things that I'm really interested in.
Okay.
And so I found that I latched onto that, and I realized this is my passion.
Right.
And so every day I realize there's a standard that I need to kind of meet, which I kind of spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, like every day, what kind of drives me to be better is knowing that I can be better, and that I've actually found something that I'm passionate about, and that I want to invest my time into, and just pursuing it.
Nice. Well, that perfectly segues into the pursuit of tomorrow aspect of this episode here. So there's obviously the Howard Thurman quote: "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Now, it sounds like you found what brings you to life, and that's what I want to hear about, man. Tell me, what makes you feel alive?
So, I'd say there's two parts. First part primarily is the things that I learned from the Bible and the scriptures. That whenever I learn something new, gain more of a bigger aspect to my understanding around that area, how to approach life, how to deal with the circumstances around me, how I understand the world around me, but also the unseen world that is present, but is unseen.
Yeah, it's like outreach.
Yeah, exactly. And so every day, learning something new and then being able to share that with people, that's big for me. And I've had quite a lot of like really fortunate opportunities to share these things with people, and even if they don't agree with the base framework of my philosophy and of my thinking, it's undeniably positive. And I've been able to see people be blessed and changed by it, even without necessarily having to agree with it. So that really does a lot for me. And secondly, again, just kind of linked to that, is seeing people's lives change for the better.
Right.
So I mentioned earlier I started working on this business, and it's essentially working with coffee and working with farmers in Africa to start with anyway. So I'm currently working with a farm in Zambia.
Right.
So we're working with them directly. So we source the coffee from them, we sell the coffee here, educate people here about the process of where coffee comes from and the hard work that it gets to take there, and then the what we gain from that here goes straight back to them.
Right.
And the needs that they have met, the needs that they have hopefully can be met.
Yeah,
So it's an ongoing process. It's a building a relationship with them, and it's not us just going over there trying to fix their problems, but it's building those relationships and seeing it every day. Their everyday life enriched in some way. And so for me to be able to see the works in my life enrich other people's lives, that's what gets me going.
I like that. So have you had the chance to meet these guys over in Zambia?
No, so hopefully I'll be able to go over sometime soon. We've been chatting, keeping in contact here and there, and so it's just slowly building up. So we've set the vision. Now it's just laying the groundwork
to bring it to fruition. Cool.
So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of steps, but
What would you say is the next step?
So I've actually just started working on being able to roast the coffee myself.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm trying to, me and my partners as well, my business partners, we're trying to reduce as many middle people between us and them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for a raw product like green coffee, you know, unroasted, unprocessed, it goes through so many hands, and between those different hands, it you know, each people get a cut, which is, you know, it's good for business, but it's not as good for the for the people that are sourcing it. So. And even when that comes to roasting, and we work with some really great guys, but being able to do it ourselves, it just ties us in even deeper with the story.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the next step. So it's a big investment,
yeah.
but it's rewarding, and so that's kind of what we're working on now, and hopefully again being able to take it that next step further.
I like that, you know, because I think there are a lot of noble deeds that one can do throughout their life. You know, there's a lot of stories where they themselves get to be the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, sure.
But I think what's lost quite often is the ingraining of the person in that story. You know, like I said, there are many times we can say, oh yeah, I was able to help this person, or I said this to this person and they took this there, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's actually an element I want to tie into how I do Pursuit of Tomorrow, the idea of keeping up with these people. And you know, you're literally living that in the fact that, you know, it's not just like a one-step process. You're learning each individual step, and obviously, you said, like, communicate with these people, looking to meet them. And you know, I actually have to wonder, you know, what does that process look like? So, you know, there's obviously the start of this business, and you've obviously got the next steps in mind as to where it's going, but I want you to walk me through, like, what the day, the week, the month looks like along this journey. Yeah.
So right now it's as simple as the friend I said that I met, who gave me the opportunity to work with his business. So he actually runs a coffee shop, and so being able to work there. So I actually now I manage the shop, and I you know, take care of things and all that sort of stuff. And so every day is, first of all, making good coffee. You know, I mean, I've only started drinking coffee the last probably 2 years. But when you've actually tasted good coffee, it's like, damn, this is good, and it sets the standard. And so every day it's trying as hard as you can, because, you know, like I say, people in all over the world, whether it's in Zambia, whether it's in Mexico, Brazil, India, they're putting hard work into producing coffee for you know, people like us in the West. And so it's, how can I take their hard work and turn it into something that's enjoyable to someone here? And so that's the everyday. But then also educating people as well. So that's kind of one of the next projects I want to work on, is not just teach people about how to make coffee, but also teach people about the ethic, the heart behind it. Where does it come from? And so gradually building that awareness of the world around us, because I think, especially, again, maybe it's just me, but we can be so caught up in, like, consumerism, where something like a coffee, you spend max £3, you drink it, 2 minutes, it's done, you throw the cup away. But what you don't know is the beans that came to make that, you know, have travelled thousands of miles. They've been hand picked. You know, each bean is in a small cherry like this. You know, and that's hand picked, each one. And it's gone through this whole journey. And so to actually taste it, but appreciate how it got to me. So taking each step every day, each month, to educate people about that. And it's not just about coffee, you know, it's a philosophy about life. You know, this is how it applies to me in my world, but to all of us, you know, whether it's the cotton in our clothes, whether it's you know, I've been trying to push to buy more sustainable products and things like that, just to tie myself back into the earth, really, where everything comes from. And see everybody's lives benefit from that. I hope that kind of makes sense.
No, it does, because I think, you know, one thing that you actually said there just stuck with me as you were explaining the rest, and it's the idea that we set a standard for ourselves, and we set a precedent for ourselves, and anything below that we kind of stop noticing.
Yeah.
You know, even something as, and I think it's a beautiful metaphor with coffee. You go to any store and you can buy coffee beans, instant, roast it. You know, you go into any cafe, any restaurant, you can get a coffee. And we don't think about, you know, there are obviously parts of the world where there's a coffee culture. You know, and in definitely, you know, within the UK, and it says, you know, a coffee shop is something. Oh yeah, let's go grab a coffee. It's so ingrained how we just go about life that we don't take a moment to think about where it comes from, and that their philosophy is seen throughout our lives. You know, there are so many things that I think we do and are happy to leave unnoticed. Because, like I said, it's our standard. You know, who puts on a cotton jumper and thinks, "Hey, where did this come from?" It's like, no, you just think, "Oh, this is cozy." You know? And so, I actually think there's another word that's not in my mind right now, but to say the least, it's an inspiring story to see how obviously this journey for you is quite literal and metaphorical.
100%.
Yeah, no, I like that. No, it's a powerful journey to be on. You know, obviously, like you said, it ties so strongly into your life and links back to everything else that you said, that I can see it being a fruitful journey for you. You know, so as you're on this journey, you know, there's a future version of you that is even more ingrained in this story, who's way more, you know, who's put the time, the money, and everything, and they've set a whole new precedent for themselves. But I actually wonder what that version of you would have to say for you right here, sat on this couch.
That's a good question. Ah, man, you know, I've always tried to think about how I would talk to my past self. And I know, listening to some of the other shows, that's some of the questions that you know been asked, and so how I would speak to myself, how my future self would speak to me now. Man, I hope I'd be encouraging because, like, I know I would have known the struggle, you know, and each individual day and the things that come with it. And like I said, I feel like my life is always, I tend to be in the right place at the right time. And even through the mistakes and the hardships, it always seems to work out in the end. I've never had some big catastrophe that doesn't work out to something good in the long run. And so I'd like to be able to look at myself now, and I know hard times are going to come. It's natural, you know. I know that there's going to be bigger challenges than I've faced already in my life so far. And so, but if I can get through these ones I've been through that I thought I couldn't get through, I know I'll get through the future ones. And so I'd like to tell myself, whatever I'm going through now, you're going to get through it, and there's going to be more, but we'll get there.
I like that.
So yeah, that's kind of where it's at. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of the person that if I do too much socializing, it hurts my head. I like to have that time to be introspective, to you know, I get home and I'll think about my day, what's happened today, or the week, or the month, or the year. I make it's a habit for me, or like a ritual almost, you could say, that at the end of every year I'll have a retrospective look at the whole year and think, what happened here to here to here. You know, I haven't done very well in this. What's the series of events that's got me to feel like that? So you know, that's something that hopefully I can keep up going, and it's something that I think a lot of people could benefit from. I think, you know, kind of going back in looking back, but so we can move forward.
You know? Like a slingshot, you know.
For real, literally.
This is definitely my favourite question of them all, because, you know, I often say it forces us to put the hindsight first. And, you know, this actually links right back to, you know, the start of this interview here, where it's the idea that you can find yourself in a situation not knowing when it's going to look brighter, and only the future version of you can let you know how it got brighter, because you've got to experience it firsthand, you know, in the present. And so it's always interesting, you know, kind of watching the gears turn in people's heads, because they're, as I said, actively putting that hindsight first and figuring out, you know, how have I spoken to my past self, then how would my future self speak to me? So, you know, it's good that obviously you've already got that, you know, like a strong idea of what it means to go through things that just kind of feel like setbacks. You know, because a lot of people kind of, as I said earlier as well, they can't see past the setback. But, you know, you've been able to rise above it all. You know. But hey man, once again, I really appreciate you coming through and being part of Pursuit tomorrow, because you definitely had an interesting story to tell. And
thank you.
Yeah, man, we're going to be checking back in with you, like I said. You know, I think, you know, one of the things I said to Joseph is that, you know, I wonder how well he listens to his future self. Because, you know, by the time we get there, by the time we are our future selves, and we look back at these conversations here, it's like, you know, where have you moved on to? You know, what small tasks are now? You know, what small hobbies are now? Like kind of professional hobbies, are they career based now? It's like, you know, it's always interesting to keep asking that question and seeing how far the answer can change as we grow and move forward. But yeah, with nothing else to say myself, is there anything you'd like to sound to the camera with?
Man, if I could say anything to anyone that's listening, would be honestly, find your passion. It can take a long time, but find it, put your heart into it, and just like, keep going at it, and like I say, there's always another day, there's always tomorrow, and then the least you can say is that today I tried my best. And that's kind of the thing that's kept me going every single day. So,
cool. I like that. That's a strong note to finish off on. So yeah, I will see you guys in next week's episode of Pursuit of Tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in, and just one more time, thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you.
And yeah, man, as I said, we'll catch up with you, see how things are going.
Yeah.
All right, cool, guys. See you around.